So, I was only a kid in 1974 where my father was gonna make a restaurant called Coyote Pizza. But the costume of the coyote looked more like a rat, so they changed it to Rick Rat's Pizza. So, yeah. So, Rick Rat's Pizza was the idea, and I think they're still gonna use the same coyote rat suits, and that was gonna be Ricky. Well, the restaurant was actually gonna be called Rick Rat's Pizza, but they decided just to call it Ricky Rat because it was like more interesting. Yeah, so yeah. So the I thought the idea was amazing. Ricky Rat, Mickey Mouse, I thought they were like the same. Because when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Disney. Disney was a hit at the time, so I watched all day. I watched like the Muppets, Sesame Street, even though that had nothing to do with Disney. But Disney was my favorite company. I even liked Disneyland. That was the first company to be made by. That was a. Sorry, never mind that. So about Rick Rass Pizza. So the restaurant was a big hit. They were about to open it, but my dad showed me behind the scenes how it was gonna work. But well, see, when we were about to build it, one of the workers that were going to help with the restaurant went missing. Like, almost all of them went missing. There were 20 of us, but 13 of us went missing. I was scared, but I just ignored it. But, see, I lived in the United States, and I lived in California, so, I don't know. But, I thought it was a big hit, so, it was just that. But, until there was only two of the workers left. Almost all of them were gone. I was terrified. I was scared. Until I decided to look at the costume of Ricky Rat. And I realized that it had red stains on it, like almost blood. Then I decided to touch it and it was like liquidy. Kinda like paint but more wetter and slimier. I screamed so loud that all the workers heard me. I was scared. So my dad came running in and said, "What's wrong?" And I pointed at the blood, but the blood was gone. Was the coyote's tongue sticking out? I, I didn't know what was going on. I was still scared. But yeah. So after that, at night, me and my dad went home just to talk about it. My dad said it must have been your imagination. But then I heard a window shatter in my room. I went upstairs alone to check it. Then I realized that the window was open. Was a guy dressed up like a Ricky Rat costume and holding a knife. I ran downstairs screaming and I told my dad. We went upstairs but the window was fixed. Like nothing had happened. And Ricky Rat, he was gone. My dad yelled at me saying, "What's the matter with you?" And I was like, "Dad, he was here. He was in my room. He broke into the house." And my dad told me to stop it. That's enough. And he whispered, "I never should have opened this place." Okay. And my dad told me just to go to sleep and don't think about it. But before I went to bed, I asked my dad if I could get a drink of water. But what I was really gonna get, I was actually gonna get a knife and hid it under my pillow to wait for Ricky Rat to come. I waited and waited and waited. It's been 3 hours, and then I finally went to sleep. But then I heard my closet door open. It was Ricky. He came out of the closet. I screamed, "I knew it!" And then I was about to stab him, but he disappeared. And my dad kicked the door open and was like, "Are you serious? Again?" And I was like, "Dad, he was here again." And my dad smacked me in the face and said, "That's enough. Go to sleep." And I was crying in tears. And I told him, "Dad, he was here. I'm not crazy." And I told him about the knife in my bed that I was going to arm myself. Then he took the knife and screamed at me, saying, "Why do you have a knife? Why do you hide it under the pillow?" And I said, "To defend myself." And he said, "From who?" "Ricky," I said. And then he kept screaming at me, saying, "That's enough. I had it with you. You keep screaming. You keep making messes. That's enough. Now it's the company. I'm sorry. You're grounded." I was crying in tears. I was screaming in my pillow, saying that he was real. And then, in the morning, we went back to the setup of Rick Rack's Pizza. All of the workers were gone, so my dad hired new ones. So, we're still working on it. And something bad happened. What if the workers went missing again? But this time we found them. But they were dead. They were behind the They were behind Rick Rat's Pizza while it was about to be built. Covered in blood. The bone was showing. I screamed and told my dad. This time he believed me. And then went behind the restaurant and he screamed too. And it was like, "What the heck?" And he told the others. I was crying. All the gold workers were crying too. Ambulance went. See, we called the ambulance. And the police asked us questions. Like, were there witnesses? And my dad said no. And I screamed, "It was Ricky! He did this!" And the cops chuckled a little bit. And my dad looked at me with a very angry face and said, "What is wrong with you? Stop it!" I started to cry in tears. And the cop said, "It's okay. It's just his imagination." And then he walked away. My dad was so angry at me, so he grounded me. And then I still live with my mom and dad. My mom, it's not like one of those movies where the son just lives with his dad or mom. It was just my mom and dad and me. That was it. And then I heard a crash. While I was sleeping in my room, I heard a crash. And then I heard screaming. It came from my mom, and I yelled, "Mom!" And I knew this was Ricky. I knew he did this. Then I came downstairs and I realized that it wasn't Ricky. It was my dad. And I was like, "Dad, why? Why did you do this?" And he told me that you actually think it's me? You actually thought this is your dad? And then he disappeared. And I was so confused, like, wait, that was Ricky. Oh my god. Dad. Then I realized that my dad was missing. And I told him that it wasn't my dad, it was Ricky. I told that to the cops. I called the cops, And then I was crying in tears. Then, as then I had to live with my grandma for the rest of my life. And then my uncle had to take my dad's place of Rick Grass Pizza. So they decided to change the name to Chuck.e.cheese. So, yeah. That's how, yeah. Ricky Rat was Chuck.e.cheese all the time. So, they changed it to Chuck.e.cheese. They changed the mascot and everything. Because all the people in the town heard about my stories. So, they made stories about Ricky Rat. And then, I never saw my parents again. The only people I lived with was my uncle and my grandmother. Ricky Rat never existed. Only Chuck.e.cheese. So I never went to Chuck.e.cheese. And every time my grandma and uncle asked me to come with them to Chuck.e.cheese, and I screamed, "No! I don't want to go!" bursting out with tears. They're confused. And now, I'm an adult. Still living with my grandmother. And I never went to Chuck.e.cheese ever. Yeah. That's my story. Ricky Rat is Chuck.e.cheese. Never forget that.